Okay, good morning. Got a few things today. The first thing we'll talk about is the motorcycle crash that happened, and this was Saturday AM, early AM, about 12:24 AM is when the call came in. This was at 53rd and Sycamore. We had a motorcycle that was heading south on Sycamore, and we don't know exactly what happened, but at some point the motorcyclist lost control and ended up dying. It was pronounced deceased on scene. That driver is a 19-year-old from Brandon. His last name is Hulzebos. First is William, William. Middle is Michael, Michael. He did have a helmet on at the time. It's going to take a while. We'll have to do a reconstruction on this. So at this point, there's no indication if speed was a factor. Drugs and alcohol will be looked at, but we don't believe that those were a factor either. So don't have a whole lot of other information, but if you have anything, I can answer questions if I can. Okay. On to the log, we had an aggravated assault and then the weapons violation are basically connected together, but this was early Sunday morning. The first part of it began about 3 a.m. and we had a guy that was on a bicycle downtown. He passed by a car that was driving. It was actually, I guess, a Jeep Cherokee. There was some words that were exchanged between them. He continued riding his bike, and then near 8th Street and Phillips Avenue, this Jeep Cherokee ended up stopping. A couple of people got out. One of them had a gun, pointed it at the victim and fired, we believe just 2 times. The victim had ducked behind a parked vehicle. That parked vehicle was struck, and then the people got back in the Jeep and then drove away. So we were able to get a description. We had some information and basically figured out which vehicle this was. The victim thankfully was not injured. Around, I think it was about 5:30 a.m. we had a call of some gunshots. That was in the 1000 block of East 3rd, or I'm sorry, 900 block of North Mabel is where the gunshots happened, or the call about gunshots. We had officers that were going to that call and then ended up seeing that same Jeep Cherokee, recognized that it may have been related, and certainly they were involved in the earlier shooting. They went to stop that vehicle. Before the officer could even activate his lights, the Jeep pulled over and a couple of people got out and walked away. That was the 1000 block of East 3rd Street. One of them was found almost immediately. Another guy walked into an apartment building and then ended up later coming out, and so he was arrested. One of them had a backpack, and the gun was found inside of it. That gun had been reported stolen on July 2nd. That was left in a vehicle. Somebody broke into the vehicle and then stole the gun. So the guy that came out of the apartment building, he was the shooter, at least in the first one that happened downtown. He was arrested for reckless discharge of a firearm, aggravated assault, committing a felony with a firearm, and grand theft. I imagine that's probably a possession charge, but just says grand theft. And then the other man, he was arrested and charged with accessory. I think it's just accessory is what it was called. Accessory, harbor, or conceal. Do you want their names? Mm-hmm. The suspect that shot the gun, his last name is Shockey, Shockey. First is Connor, Connor. Middle is David, David. And he's 19 from Sioux Falls. And the computer just locked up. The other, his last name is Soltero, Soltero. First is Adrian, Adrian. Middle is Quinn, Quinn. And I'll have to wait a second for this thing to catch up. In the meantime, I can answer questions if you have any. Nothing? Okay.
Is it known, were there only those two people in the Jeep during the first attack on the bicycle?
Did they know each other?
No, were there only the two of them, or were the only people in the Jeep?
That I don't know how many people were in the Jeep. So the first time when the shots happened downtown, we know there was at least the two people. I don't know if there were more people in the Jeep or not.
And they didn't know each other.
Correct, they did not know each other. Okay. Let's try this again.
And concerning the first incident, the motorcyclist, if I remember correctly, in the earlier press release from the city, it was mentioned that speed was not a factor. Now it's established that speed was.
No, we do not know if speed was a factor. We have not determined that yet. This goes a lot smoother when my computer cooperates. Okay, so the other person is 21. Sorry about that. Okay. The other assaults, I did have one. It was a stabbing that happened in Heritage Park. This was Sunday evening. Not sure what exactly led up to it, but there was some type of disagreement. We had one person that used a knife and ended up stabbing one guy, and then another person was trying to separate them and had some minor cuts. I don't think they needed any medical attention. The guy that was stabbed went to the hospital, no serious injuries there. He actually didn't want to press charges on that, but the suspect was found and arrested for aggravated assault. Do you want her name? Yep. Last is McCain, M-C-C-A-I-N. First is Crystal, K-R-Y-S-T-A-L. Middle is Leah, L-E-A, and she's 34 from Sioux Falls. The other aggravated assaults are basically reports, had a couple of domestics and then another person threatened. The burglaries, just reports on those apartments, houses, a couple of businesses that were entered. Disorderlies, nothing big out of those, just kind of random reports. Family disputes and offenses are all reports. Frauds, we had a couple of false impersonation, a shoplifting, and then identity theft. Larcenies, narcotics, vandalisms, I didn't have a chance to get to any of those. The robbery, our victim was pretty intoxicated, but he had said he had been hit several times and then had some jewelry taken. So we don't have a whole lot of details. He did not have any serious injuries, so we're still working on that. The sex offenses, all three are reports. Simple assaults were more domestics, nothing suspicious with the unattended death. And the gunshot, that was related to that aggravated assault we talked about, so. That's all I have, unless you guys have anything else.
On the 21st, there was a weapons violation on the log at 26th in Cleveland at about 8:30. You have anything, any more info on
Let me see. 8:30 at
that?
night?
Yeah.
I think I may have it here. Looks like that involves juveniles. It was just somebody that was threatened with a pipe, but no injuries from that.
And then last week, we talked about 24th of Minnesota, there was the guy in the trunk that went to the hospital. Were there any charges ever filed on him?
I didn't, last week when I looked, there hadn't been any, and I had checked at the end of the day as well, but I'll have to, I don't have that with me right now, but I'll have to dig that up and see. As of Friday afternoon, he had not been arrested or charged yet, so. Anything else? Okay, thanks.